There are Egyptian American Muslim women terrorists screaming in my head every second of the day. And the terrorists talking in my head, so I was under the assumption that maybe people, I'm not to say that they can't hear what's going on the record, but I was under the assumption that maybe they had access to what I was hearing while these terrorists, like as if it's a record being produced, and as it's being produced, it's being deposited into a file that is in a classified, it's held classified in some security, wherever some CIA's top security place. And of course, he's making me throw up. This is every time I talk, it's so gross and it's weird. So there are terrorists talking in my head, and they have said that they were investigating me initially, that they were the CIA. Then they said they were Coptic Orthodox Christian Egyptian Americans. Then they said they were, my neighbors. Then they said, they've said all kinds of things. They said, we're investigating you. Ha ha ha. You're not actually, they're talking in my head saying this. You're not actually schizophrenic. And if you go to the hospital knowing that you hear us in your head, they're going to think that they're going to, and you're not schizophrenic, or right? I'm hearing voices in my head, and I'm not going to sit here and act like I don't. If you do, they're going to, that you're basically a drug addict, that's fraud, this, that, and the third. The voices in my head are psychotic, dude. They're terrorists talking in my fucking head. And all I could think of is, well, maybe the government understands that we're being investigated, but they can't prove it. And so unless they have a record, and in which case that record provides the evidence that there were terrorists, in fact, talking in my head, and that the way that record is, and there has to be a substantial amount of evidence, right? And so over the course of the years, they've been, my head is off and they're playing with my head. I actually should write this out, but I don't want to waste time doing it, so I'm just going to do my very best, because this takes up so much of my time. I have to clean up my C drive in my computer, and I have to do other things. But anyways, I was thinking, well, maybe as they're actually talking in my head, and because it's every second of the day, they're either they hit a key on their keyboard wherever they're sitting, and that sends a signal to whatever satellite, is responsible for hacking into people's heads, or having the ability to read people's minds. This super sophisticated technology will shock my brain, and I will it'll feel like I just got hit by lightning. I will actually fall over, or I'll feel like I'm on a boat sometimes. My vision will get blurred, my eyes will get glossy, and it's constant. So the terrorists in my head, it's almost okay, if they were to stop talking, the AI machine that they're using, or it's a AI telepathy, mind control, mind reading weapon, they can see through your eyes, and they can talk in your head and make you look schizophrenic. Okay. What if, in fact, as it's being, the clock is ticking on the AI, or that surveillance technology, maybe they actually can't hear or see what I'm looking at unless I make these videos to say I'm in danger. There are terrorists talking in my head. So, and maybe it's not until the actual record gets deposited into the, or the, it's not till the investigation is over. So when does the investigation end? The investigation ends whenever either the terrorists stop talking or the individual dies. Right? So that is the only conclusion that I could come up with that made me think, okay, well, maybe the terrorists talking in my head, they are, sorry, I'm trying to gather my thoughts. They're obviously trying to traffic me. So they're trying to get me to go do drugs. They don't want me making more money than what's enough to buy alcohol and drugs with, which I don't do. I don't drink and I don't smoke and I don't do drugs. Or to spend on my daughter so that she can do it. So that all the money that she has is so little, it's not like I'm paying, it's not like they want me to make enough money to afford to pay for her to have piano lessons or music lessons or singing lessons, so they're intentionally abusing me with this weapon, trying to traffic my entire family in this direction. And they're screaming in my fucking head, go fucking die, bitch. And then trying to make me embarrassed to say that I hear voices in my head telling me to go die, or I want to watch kids die, or whatever the hell they say all day, every fucking second of the day long. They're Egyptian American Muslim women terrorists. They sound like they live in California. They're missing in action. If they're now they're back in traffic, it's because 10 minutes ago I said those bitches are missing in action. Actually, I said it about an hour or so ago. So, and now it's just their brother. Somebody has to be at that location wherever they're sitting to keep that telepathy technology from timing out, because it doesn't have any findings they made a claim. So they put in, it sounds like, okay, they put in a claim on their whatever, right? I don't know. I'm coming up with these conclusions based on like their behavior and how weird this shit is, and how like what they're trying to do, and obviously through experience. So, and it's repetitive. Their patterns of behavior and their intentions are very repetitive. So it's like, it's hard not to, get a clue as to what they're trying to do. They're obviously trying to drug you. They're obviously trying to keep you in the, company of people who do drugs, who wouldn't call the cops if they heard somebody dying, right? They want you in the and refuse to call cops or seek medical attention because they're addicts and they love drugs, and they want you in the attention of those type of people, toxic people. So that there are no records, that'll refrain from security cameras and taking videos, and showing off what they're doing. The terrorists talking in my head, they want you embarrassed. They made my hair fall out. They've been abusing me and my kids every day. Every fucking day for more than 7 years now. They said they murdered my friends. They said they murdered my dad. They said with this telepathy weapon. They said they murdered my David Basili. They said they murdered Daniel Atkins. They said and I believe them. I actually believe them. They're terrorists. They're Egyptian American Muslim women terrorists living in California. And I believe every fucking word they have to say. I think so they're trying to traffic me because on my record, there is like clear evidence that I'm being trafficked. And so they want it so badly to look like these were my decisions, and they want me to die. They actually want me to die, from something that, and they want it to look like it was self-sabotage, it was negligence, it was irresponsibility, it was like acts of suicide. It was like as if I'm this person when I'm not. They're screaming in my head every second of the day. So luckily, when God, I mean, if the, if there is nobody to, come forward and say, you know what, Renee she's saying some crazy shit. But there's no one screaming outside of her door. We want to know, because it's obvious that they know I'm being investigated. Like the feds know I'm being investigated, or not the feds, but the CIA and the federal government. The FBI doesn't know. The Federal Bureau doesn't know. It's like Central Intelligence Agencies, like much higher ups than our departments of like local and law enforcement. Not even, and it wouldn't even be the Federal Bureau. It's out of their jurisdiction, I believe. So it's like the Central Intelligence department. They know that we're on. They know. They can see. So people who are being investigated, it's almost like they have to make it clear who's being investigated, but not who's investigating them and who made the claims against them. So what am I saying? So it's as if, like, you know, to an extent, I mean, they already made it clear in I'm all over the place, and I'm always all over the place. And this is for anybody who's listening who doesn't know, just don't mind me. It's probably best you just keep scrolling. I mean, if you know, then you know. But it's obvious, like, through media, you know, the baby and Karen's on the terrorist watch list, and, you know, put his ass on the cross, Tizo or something, or whatever Kendrick says, something about Tizo, and then, you know, Beyonce saying that this is the ringer, not Derringers, and just like it's all over the media. I mean, there are so many subliminal messages that have been very clear as to their I guess not suspicions, but they're basically investigating these terrorists. It's just it's not even, they're basically telling them, come forward now or else, basically, in so many words. And if we have to wait until these targeted individuals or schizophrenics die and before you come forward, and we know you bitches are murdering all these people, you guys are going to die in the same way, kind of deal, and don't for a second think you're going to get away with it. I mean, they've said it over and over and over again, and I hear it all the time through every rap song, through everything, because the terrorists talking in my head want it, because they're all Muslim, right? So what they want it to seem like is like Muslims are being attacked. So they're doing all this crazy, like, murder, like brutally murdering people, so that they can stir up the emotions of these people that want to sentence them specifically to death, right? So that they go attack maybe one or two of these terrorists, in my head, right? Because they're probably out in plain sight, like, haha, you know, kind of like teasing them, like, we know you know what we did, and we're right here, why don't you come get us, type deal. Especially the men. I mean, I would assume they would be the first ones to be out there, like, come get me. Obviously not my kids, not my wife. And in hopes that they would say that, and then the women can, like, run this whole bullshit about they're attacking Muslims, which is not the fucking case. These bitches deliberately set it up that way so that it looks that way. So that if any of them are left, you know, behind these telepathy weapons, they can continue to run this narrative. But what they're doing, the terrorists talking in my head, are trafficking Egyptian, they're trafficking Middle Eastern and Arab Muslims. And they're abusing them and torturing them and using them as sheep, or like they're not sheep, as a people that to use, like they're like they're nothing, and murdering them and sentencing them to death and oppressing women and doing all kinds of, like, this is psychotic behavior. The terrorists talking in my head are psychotic. They're Egyptian American Muslim women terrorists. They're fucking psychotic, dude. And they're not, it's like I said, it's not all of them. It isn't all of them. Get off of me. He's controlling me. He's like actually picking my hand up. They're Egyptian American Muslim women terrorists, but it's not all of them, because I have friends that are Egyptian American Muslim that I love dearly, that I would like, it would hurt me to see them hurt. And I know it's not them, because the terrorists talking in my head are saying, you're a fucking bitch, go die, you fucking whore, you stupid bitch, I want your kids to die. Like, and then trying to make me feel embarrassed to say that they're talking inside my head saying that. So, so that there is no evidence, or so that there's nothing I've put out on YouTube or through Facebook or indicating that I have made it clear that they're in my head, so that way they can run that stupid narrative that I heard it outside. So with that said, now, the whole Egyptian thing, I want to make this very, very clear. The way that came about was because they said because my community is Coptic Orthodox Egyptians, and this is how stupid these terrorists are, okay? So they initially were pretending to be Coptic Orthodox, and they were talking in Arabic. And so, of course, I didn't know, so I actually thought for a second that they were people from my community, and that was intentionally to steer me away from my community and get them to disconnect from me, make me look, so that it makes me look crazy, yada yada yada. Everyone knows that I'm schizophrenic. I've already told everybody that I hear voices in my head, or schizophrenic, whatever. I hear voices in my head, whether it's like an actual condition or I hear them outside. I'm just gonna label it the same as the government. It's in my head. However it's got there, it doesn't matter. Schizophrenia. So everyone knows that I'm schizophrenic, okay? And because I had to go mend these relationships. So that is how I came to the conclusion that they're not Coptic Orthodox Christians and they're not Muslims that have entered into my life. So these bitches are just sloppy. They're just trying to do anything and everything to steer you away from your community. So that is how I came to this conclusion. And then over the course of time, it was like, okay, well, we'll just tell her we're Muslim. And then if she says anything about Muslims, we'll just, make her feel uncomfortable to say anything, because she's going to try to work. Obviously, she has to make money. Obviously, right? Enough to not qualify for government assistance. Right? And this is their script as to how to steer people away and keep them off of government assistance when they know we're in critical condition. These bitches can control anything at any time in our lives. But yet they want it to, on paper, to look like we don't on paper they want it to look like we're doing better when we're not. When we're actually not, and that anything we've done is really our deliberate intention when it's not. Like, I actually don't know when I'm gonna make money or when I'm not, because they play with my head when I'm on the phone. They do all kinds of shit. And anyways, just all I'm trying to say is it's obvious, like, they're murderers. They're talking in my head, and they're not gonna stop talking until they have something on me. That's what they want. They want something on me, which they'll never have. I will never give them that leverage. They're not, thank you, God, everything they do, because they can make me dizzy, but they can't make me they can't pick my hand up to go stab someone if that's what they wanted me to do, so that they can say I'm a psychotic terrorist for whatever reason. So if I had to come to a conclusion, it would be that not only once this is over, right, whether by means of me dying or they decide to stop pretending that they're investigating me and they turn themselves in, that what was I gonna say? That every keystroke, every time they hit a keystroke to make me dizzy or make my eyes blur or make my hair fall out, or anytime they've said anything in my head, or they've just whatever they've done thus far, and anything I've seen, right? Anything I actually hear is all going to be recorded. And it's obvious that the brain activity that's recorded with what I've heard from inside, obviously inside my head, and from what's going on outside, the vibrations would, I don't know if the vibrations would be any different. Well, I mean, if it's your eardrum. So there are, I mean, but like I said, they're making me dizzy. So it's like, how do I know they're not manipulating the vibrations of my eardrums to match? I mean, how come it can't go from your brain if it's signal being sent to your eardrum the same way from your eardrum to your head? I mean, if it's enough, if the wave is strong enough, why couldn't it just produce it? But it's coming from the inside, so it's actually not like I don't know. So anyways, that's a question for another day, and that's more on like that's all can be measured. That's nothing that I'm worried about. I guess what was I going to say? As far as the dizziness goes, so there are several of them doing it, but they can't pick up my hand to do anything. Well, I move my hands all day long freely, so of course it would be different, right? Okay, because they disguise these records. So all I'm thinking is, okay, let's say they're so good at controlling someone's mind that you couldn't tell on the record whether that person did it with their free will, it was their own free will, or they were being controlled by this telepathy weapon. Then is it that person that they trafficked, the record that they had, was simultaneously being produced at the same time that person was being attacked from another group of individuals? Like, for example, like let's say they've been with me. It's like they're investigating me, but through the investigation there is clear, excuse me, they're making me airy. So if let's say that through the time of the investigation there is, it's more like they're pushing me in the direction, Because I've been asking this question for so long. How do they disguise it? How do they disguise it? They're pushing me in that direction, so it's, and I have to think about this one, because they won't lift my hand, but yet they'll make me dizzy, or they'll make my hair fall out comfortably. And it's like they want someone to murder me, and they want to push me in that direction. They want me murdered rather than to give me a heart attack, because all of that would be read on the technology, like she died of a heart attack. But they need a crime committed. With me, it's in particular, it's like they need a crime committed, but they can't pick me up to make me commit one. But they've said on so many occasions that they've done it to other people, and I don't know, I feel like, I'm not going to say I believe one. It's not even I believe it. I know they have. Just for my own personal understanding, I want to know how it's done, just because I want to know what position I play in regards to their stupid, like, organization, like what they need of me in particular, because I already know, obviously, they want me to do drugs, they want me in the company of drug addicts, so it's not like I was going to do that anyway, but now it's like, I won't even have sympathy for you at this point if you do drugs. Like, that's how I feel. Before it was like, oh my gosh, maybe that person needs a break, maybe, whatever. Not happening, not anymore. That's like, go fuck yourself, sorry, not my fucking problem type deal. That is, my kids are my kids' lives are in danger because of these terrorists talking in my head. They're terrorists talking in my head. They are nowhere to be seen. They're saying they want to murder us, and then they want to further investigate, and in order to do so, it has to seem like it's coming from outside. So I just want to make it clear that the terrorists that want to do that are nowhere in sight, because I don't want anybody looking for terrorists here in this neighborhood. They're not here. These are sweethearts, and these terrorists are in a house using I don't want them looking out in the streets. The bitches that are committing these crimes are behind a telepathy weapon, and they're sitting in their house behind a computer. I want people looking for people that are always working in groups in a house that are Egyptian Americans, okay, Muslims, sitting in a house behind a computer constantly, to find the ones that are truly responsible for the crimes being committed here. I don't want them running around outside. That's a waste of everyone's time. Why would I? That is the point I'm trying to make 100%. When I say, and it's the honest to God truth, when I say they're talking in my fucking head. Those bitches are not trying to be around me if they're talking in my head. So anyways, nonetheless, it seems as though they're waiting till I die. Like they need to frame me for something, and they're refusing to leave me alone, and they can. And they absolutely can get the fuck away. They can stop talking in my head and end this right now. And the men can go get their life sentences or their death penalties. I'm done talking one way or the other. These bitches are going to get sentenced to death. I promise to God. And the women are sitting next to them, and they are cheerleading them on to murder. They're their moms, their daughters, and their sisters. And they're sitting there telling their brothers, husbands, and sons to murder kids, dude. They're Egyptian American Muslim women terrorists. I promise to God. Anyways, I gotta go. It's 30 minutes of my time. All right, bye.